Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. And today, we're being joined by Midge Noble, who is currently working on her third book, Gay with God. Midge, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be with you.
Well, we are thrilled to have you. Are you ready to begin?
Yes, sir.
All right. Question number one. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
I would say to be true to yourself. When you start writing, sometimes you look at what other people have done, and it can really shut you down pretty quickly. Just stay in your truth. Your story has to be preserved so that your voice can be heard, your really authentic voice. So stay true to your own word.
And what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
Wow. Finding a publisher that really can get your book out of the squash pile, really. And even self-publishing is an experience with all the money that you have to put up first. So either way you go, there's the struggle of maybe not being seen, or you can put yourself out there, but then you have to be responsible for having the time and the energy to market yourself.
Well, with your own journey, you've published 2 books and you have a third one coming out. Were these books self-published, or did you work with a publisher?
I did self-publish both books, and it was really super hard to do it that way.
It can definitely be a process.
Yes, sir.
Well, let's talk about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you have used in your book launches that has worked well.
Well, with my second book, I actually hired or bought a publicity package from the place that I went with, and that person was able to get me lots of interviews and also line up articles that I could then write to get my name out into different magazines and online publications, and that was really helpful.
So this publicity package, what exactly is it, and what are the pieces that are involved with that process?
Well, with the self-publisher that I went with, that was with a sister company with Hay House, and the publisher you can decide. It's this whole menu of options as to what you want to buy as far as your package. And I added on the publicity package, which gave me my own personal publicity agent, who then went out and found things for me and got my face in front of different people and got my book out there into different publications. So it's different, I think, probably with different publishers you go with, but for them specifically, Balboa Press is the one that had offered this extra publicity package that you could get.
So what did the package entail? You mentioned it was like with different interviews. What type of things did you get with that package?
So I was able to, the publicity agent that I got is the one that did the grunt work to get me in front of things. And so I would get interviews like I'm doing here online with you today, and to put my book out there. She found tons and tons of magazines that I was able to do an article for certain things, and that got my name out there. And you got that for like 6 months, and you blast yourself out there, and sometimes it hits and sometimes it doesn't. But she did get a lot of work for me that I was able to get myself out there.
And if you don't mind me asking, how much was the investment?
Oh, gosh. It was close to $3,000 to do the entire book. So, to have them publish the book and then add on the publicity package, it was probably close to $3,000.
Got it. And then that included 6 months of support. Is that correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Do you feel it was worth it?
I did at the time. Looking back, it probably wasn't, because I know I didn't get a return on that money. So my third book, I really, really hope to find a publisher that will publish it and also allow me to stay true to my word. And that's why I self-published to begin, because I didn't want anyone to take ownership of my book and then run with it and have it become something I didn't want it to be.
Yeah.
But I also want to be able to have some feeling that, it's just not all on me, if that makes sense. So I hope to do it a little differently this time.
Well, I think one of the positives with that is when you do these type of publicity deals, because we've had other guests on the show that have done that, and it's been hit or miss. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. But I know the one main takeaway I got is the fact is that since they did that, they at least got to learn the process and see how the publicity works, and that way they can do it themselves for future launches. And that seems to be really the big, I guess, nugget, so to speak, that you really get out of investing in those type of publicity packages.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Well, speaking of books, I'd like to know what is your favorite book and what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
Well, I love the book The Shack, and I love it because it's, even though it's fiction, it opened the door to the possibility that there really could be a new way for me to look at God and develop my own understanding. I didn't know for the longest time that I was gay, but once I figured out that I was gay, it made a whole lot of more sense. But then my relationship with God really was a struggle because of all of the societal pressure and all the religious pressure. But when that, and it was just a movie, The Shack, however, and it was a book, but I thought, wow, what if, there could be a way to combine my desire to have a relationship with God in an authentic way, and it doesn't have to be like anybody else's way. It's just my way. And that's really how the book that I'm writing now came to be, is that to be gay with God is a big deal, and there's a lot of trauma that happens before you can get to that place where you can authentically say that this is true for me. And plus it was just a fun movie. Not always fun, but it was great to see a black God. I just thought that was awesome. A black female God. Yay!
And for a final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
So one of my favorite quotes is from Dr. Wayne Dyer. Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. And that reminds me that I am in control of my outlook on life, and I can bring my joy to it. No matter what the problem is that's circling around me, if I change how I look at that and I bring my joy to it, then that empowers me to co-create the life that I want for myself.
Well, Midge, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
Well, I am on Facebook, and you can find me there. I also have a website, empoweringawakenedhearts.com.
Midge, thank you once again for being on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having this moment with you.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how to get your book published with a proven system that works, grab a free copy of my book at getpublishedpodcast.com.